Good evening, everyone. It's James G. Hills. As you know, I'm the host of Java with Jimmy, and we are here this evening continuing the conversation about lupus. As you know, as we mentioned yesterday morning when we spoke with Roxy, Auntie Roxy, as I call her now, of Lupus in Color, we discuss a lot of facts and stats about lupus. 60% of the 5 million people across the world, 60% of them that are diagnosed with lupus happen to be, if I understand correctly, Black women. And that is a very disproportionate impact. And so we talked about it yesterday morning. And for those of you that didn't watch it yesterday morning or haven't been able to watch the after watch yet, we're bringing to you another perspective and another resource from a young woman that describes herself as a health equity enthusiast and a public health strategist. So I'm kind of excited about this. I'm going to turn the music down. A little evening vibe this evening, but do me a favor. One of the things that I wanted to do and we were not able to do, and we're going to work on it, hopefully either through my guest or my guest yesterday morning, is we want to talk to a couple of brothers that are dealing with lupus as well. And so if you all know anyone, please reach out to info@Java with Jimmy and let Anissa know that you know someone that may be interested in speaking with us about their journey. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and present to others all the way from Atlanta, my kind of maybe fourth or fifth home, Asyria, which I got it right because I am terrible. I am terrible with names, but this one I got right. Anissa and I were talking earlier about pronunciation, and I think I got it right. Yes. You said I did in our pre-convo. So welcome to the Java Cafe. Thank you so much for being here on a weekday evening. You know, this is my Friday. Thursday evening kind of starts the weekend. You know, it was a short week anyway. So thank you so much for being with us, Asyria. And I'm going to ask you just to greet the audience, say good evening, and tell us a little bit about yourself. And then we'll get into your journey, find out if you're, you know, and one of the things that I learned yesterday, Roxy called herself a lupus warrior. Yep. Or a lupus thriver. So, okay. You know, language and words have power and they matter. So please greet the audience and say hello. For those of you that did not hear, we are continuing the conversation this evening around lupus. And so Asyria Daniels, who has a master's in public health, is here with us. Please greet the folks and say hello.
Yeah, hello, everybody. My name is Asyria Daniels, and I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Just a little bit about myself. As you mentioned, I do have my master's in public health with a focus in health management and policy. So that is a lot of where my shaping has come from. But at heart, I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I am a friend, I am a Southern Belle. I hail from Hinesville, Georgia, 912. We may be small, but we mighty. But I am right now located right outside of Atlanta. And then I am a lupus warrior. So I was diagnosed at a young age. I do this work. I am on the board for the Lupus Foundation of America, Georgia chapter. And this is just what I do. This is who I am, what I do. And I love bringing attention to this because not a lot of people understand and have the conversations around lupus. And like you said, 60% of African-American women who look like me, who have lives such as me, deal with this lifelong illness. And so it shows up in different people, different ways. So excited to be here.
Absolutely. And as you mentioning, it's showing up in different people, if in different ways, where you're comfortable and where you would like. If you would share with us sort of what, you know, were you symptomatic? You went to the doctor for one thing. If you don't mind, can you share with us your journey in becoming a lupus warrior?
Yeah. So my family was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. We are a military family, Army.
You just
But my
Southern Belle military.
but my mom was a nurse case manager, and so that's where we got stationed in Okinawa, Japan. And while we were over there my freshman year, it was spring break, and I was just really tired. Ended up having some symptoms of some cramping and things of that nature. Went to the hospital right before the spring break, actually, and thought it was a UTI. Had all that spring break, had just got done with the track meet. So I did run track in high school and college. So did a track meet, almost lost our 4x4 because
You
I was
just needed
having
to
the
add that part.
yeah. Almost lost it. I ain't lose it though. But almost lost the 4x4. I was anchor leg, and it was because fluid was building up in my lungs, but we had no idea. By the end of our spring break, that Easter, I was in the hospital and we had no idea what was going on. We thought it was a UTI. Then I was urinating blood. And so from that Sunday night to about Thursday, I was in the hospital in Okinawa. On Wednesday, they came in and said, "Hey, we don't know what's going on. We can't help you. And we're going to have to medevac you to Hawaii." Now, mind you, Hawaii is a 9-hour flight. So this is really, truly life or death because they have no idea what's going on. None of the medications are working. But we take the flight, my parents and I. What's up, Ray? What's up, Zandy? That's my twin and my best friend. But we take the flight to Hawaii. And as soon as we touch down, they go, "We've been monitoring you. We think you have lupus." And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I'm 15. So a lot is going through my head, right? I have no idea what's going on. I'm thinking I'm going to die. And I'm 15 and I'm thinking, God, you can't let me die at 15.
Yes,
Like,
ma'am.
there's no way. So we actually spent, I do think, a week and a half or 2 weeks in Hawaii. And my parents took me all around the island. That's actually where they met and where they got married. And so I got to see some of their, life before me, but I was miserable.
Yes,
I was on all different types of medications. They had started me on the steroids. And by the time they started me on the steroids was by the time I could eat. And my dad, who is my twin, he was like, "You can eat, we gonna eat." My first meal was a Baconator. We should have never did that. But
what?
I was
Hey, you can't say. I mean, where you're comfortable, but what happened with the Baconator, Jesus?
yeah, it took me out. I think I ate half of it, and then 30 minutes later, like it was on the ground. It took me out. Um, but during that time, we just did a lot of testing. They were right; it was lupus. I did get a kidney biopsy, and with my lupus, nephritis, so it affects my kidneys. And
Okay.
so what we were thinking was there's 6 stages. What we were thinking when I was in one or two, I'm actually in three. So that was a little prick at the heart, right? Because we thought it's still early, but now we're looking at what can and can I do, because I am an athlete, I'm very outgoing. How is this going to change my life? And so we spent those 2 weeks there, finally get back to Okinawa. And my really good friends, Sierra and Jocelyn, my two really good friends, they have no idea I'm back. I go back and we have PE class. I think it's like the third or fourth day I'm back at school. Like, I didn't take any breaks. I went straight back to school. I was like, I miss my friends. I want to see them. And I'm telling them the story. I'm telling them what's happening. And I literally passed out in PE class. And yeah, and my friend Sierra gets our PE teacher at the time, and she's like, "Yo, we got to get her to ambulance." And she hops on the ambulance with me. The girl is trying to find my vein, get some blood, and she's like, "No, stop. Her mom's gonna be there. You need," like, she held me down. We
Mm-hmm.
15 and she holding me down. And so I go through that, and that's the first time I tell that story, because that's the first time I realized that I'm no longer the old Asyria. I can't just go out and be very rambunctious and I have fun in Okinawa. We were some troublemakers. Now we kept it interesting. So this is where I'm learning, like, oh, I can't even get too excited because my body is going to react in a different way than it did before because it's getting used to this disease. Fast forward, we actually ended up leaving Okinawa because they did not have the resources for me to be in Okinawa, Japan, and we came back to my hometown, Hinesville, Georgia. And there was just a lot of navigating life as a young teen. Everybody that I had spoke to was older. The women I spoke to that had lupus were older. They got diagnosed older. They had children. They were really living their lives. And I just felt like, what can they tell me? And not in a rude way, but you're
Yep.
35 with 2 kids and you're just getting diagnosed.
Yep.
I'm 15. I want kids. How do I navigate this? When I get older, how do I navigate college? How do I navigate scholarships? Because I was getting looked at for soccer, basketball, and track. Like, how do I navigate this? How do I navigate telling a boy I like him and then having to explain, well, I got lupus and some things we can do and some things we can't. And the responsibility maybe he would have to bear at a young age. And so throughout the rest of high school was really just focusing on understanding my body, taking time to understand what gave me flare-ups, understanding what triggers them and what are some signs to look for if I was going to get a flare-up. And one of the signs was Rice Krispies. So if I was really craving the cereal Rice Krispies, I kid you not, I was in the hospital within 1 or 2 days. And crazy. And I'm not a cereal person. I do not eat cereal. So it shows up in people different ways.
Wow.
And every time I would have a craving, I realized, oh, I was in the hospital. So we had maybe 1 or 2 times I ended up in the hospital. But great thing is I have parents that supported me. I have parents that still support me. They're my biggest fans. But my dad was really like, okay, you can't do all 3 sports, right? You can't do it all. What can you make $1 million in? If you were to make $1 million, what can you make $1 million in? And I said track, because we're a track family. We're also a soccer family because my mom, like, that's her go-to, but my dad was my coach. And so he was like, we're going to focus on track. And that's what we did. I played travel soccer and ended up getting looked at by the school I went to, which was the Citadel, which is a military college in South Carolina. They saw me on the soccer field and was like, we would love to have you and you're fast. So let me talk to the track coach. Ended up, I think they were maybe my 3rd or 4th school I went to go visit. And I thought I was going for soccer. So I went, met with the soccer team. I met with the track coach very briefly. They were on their way to Clemson for a track meet. And I was like, okay, this is ROTC. We're a military family. I was doing ROTC in Okinawa. And this is going to be track, and they're a small enough school that this is going to be soccer, and they're a small enough school that I may be able to do track. God, I want to go here. But the delay was I have lupus. So if you know anything about military colleges, usually you have to go active duty, which lupus would disqualify me. But the Citadel is a senior military college, meaning that only about, at the time when I went, only about 35 to 40% of the students actually went active duty. So I ended up waiting almost 2 months for them to medically clear me to be able to say, hey, I get to go here. And my really good friend at the time, who was on my travel team, she actually got the last spot for the soccer team.
Now, is this the one that went in the ambulance with you?
No.
Oh,
This is another friend.
You got a couple of good friends.
Yeah, she was on my travel team. We were on a travel, I think we were like in Virginia or something at some soccer game, and she came up and she was like, I signed, guys, and it was the Citadel, and I was just like, oh shoot, Tori, you're going to, she said, yeah, I got the last spot. I said, well, I guess I'm not, going. And they actually emailed me the next day and said, you won't be able to probably do soccer, but you have been cleared, you can do track. And so that was just like God sent. I ended up doing all 4 years there, and I only had one incident being there. So the biggest thing about me going to the Citadel was I was the first person to have an autoimmune disease to go to this school. Remembering that lupus is flared up with stress. So when you think about the Citadel, think about your freshman year, which is your knob year, but you think about your freshman year being 9 months of basic training. That's what it is, essentially. And so their biggest fear was that I would have a flare up and maybe turn around and sue them or anything like that. And I understood, but I have a really good rheumatologist who told them verbatim, I'm more worried about her getting struck by lightning on the soccer field than I am her having a flare up.
Okay.
And so Dr. Britis had my back, and that's what really sold them to let me in. And so I did all 4 years there. Freshman year, healthy. Sophomore year, healthy. And then junior year, I actually developed pericarditis, which is inflammation of the heart lining. And so I had some time to go back home and had to rest. But other than that, I have had a healthy life. And so after school, I came up to Atlanta. Um, I went to school at the real GSU, Georgia State.
V,
Okay. Okay. The real
you
GSU,
sound like
Georgia
the
State.
football lineup when they're doing the introduction. V.
But I went to school there doing again, like I said, public health. And really during that time I had really good teachers that really allowed me to bring my personal background of my military college and my lupus experience into public health, and being a Black woman into public health, and be able to look at how can I change different systems, especially health
Mhm.
systems and or policy.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's what I kind of focused on. And now I am a part of the board, like I said earlier, here in Georgia. And I do work with them. I love it. I do shows like this to be able to, tell the story of what I've been through. Cause I think people, when they think lupus, they think bedbound, and some people are.
Yes.
And I'm very blessed that's not my story. Do I have some hard days? Yes. Did I have some hard days in college? Yes. After track meets, the guy I was dating at the time, he would have to lift me up the stairs. Like my body was aching. And most times people say I don't look like I'm sick, but trust and believe, the labs do not lie. I do have lupus, but I'm so blessed and just so honored to that God has been able to work in my life and show that I don't look like my disease.
And I'm hearing, that you're a woman of faith as you're talking. And let me ask, out of that vein, but I'm sure that faith plays a role in there. And I didn't get a chance to ask Raquel about this. But I hear you talking as a 15-year-old being diagnosed. She was also in another country.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to check in with her about the mental health impact at that time and now. And so if you don't mind, can you share with us how you handle the mental health impact? Did you go through the period of, why me? You mentioned that you had to consider a lot of the changes. I still think you're rambunctious and still full of energy and whatnot, the Southern Belle that you are. And so if I could ask you to speak to the mental health impact, either from the time of finding out and or up until now, how you manage self-care. We did learn yesterday that this is stress induced. And so how do you manage, where things are now from a mental health perspective?
Yeah, so I am definitely type A. I have a plan for everything. And that comes from my parents as well. Again, military.
In that
Dad, yeah,
military.
dad
Yes,
was a
ma'am.
drill sergeant. My mama was in the military, got out, went back as a nurse. So, it's ingrained in me. Grew up in a military town. And so
Well, so you
when I
said your
first
mom was a nurse.
well,
And she
yeah,
is a
she is
nurse.
a nurse. Yep.
Very helpful. And go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Because there's a statement I
Um,
want to run by you to see what your thoughts of it are. And then I want you to run it by her and get back to me. Go ahead.
yeah, okay. So being first diagnosed, being that young of an age, really I leaned on my parents. For me, it was my mother's prayers and my daddy's prayers. And it was really my mom and my dad looking at me, telling me that, things are going to change, but you're still the same Asyria. Like you're still, my
Mhm.
mom always says, I'm meant for a time such as this. And so that was kind of her thing as I was going through this. My mental, because they were so positive and because they didn't handicap me, other than being in the sun. My mom always wanted me to like have long sleeves and long pants in Okinawa, Japan, which is like the Hawaii of Asia.
Okay.
Other than that, everything else was pretty normal. And so my mental, unless she had a breakdown, which she had a couple when my hair started falling out, kind of when my labs were up and down and we didn't understand what was going on, seeing her made it real for me. But
Yeah.
other than that, I had put it in my head that, oh, I just take candy every day. At one point I was taking about 12 or 13 pills a day, morning and night. And so for me, it was just I pop my candy and I'm
Yep.
good. I pop my candy and I'm good. So during that time, it was really heavily if my parents were good, I was good.
Okay.
As I grew up with the disease, understanding that it is stress induced, a lot of times when I wanted to talk back or get in the fight or anything like that, I just had to be like, do you want to be in the hospital afterwards? Like, if you want to fight and win, do you want to be in the hospital afterwards?
You said fight and win.
Oh, because I'm a Daniels. I'm a Daniels. You know, I'm my daddy. I'm my daddy's
Wait a minute, the
child. So,
Southern,
you know.
not the Southern Belle.
Oh yes.
With the military, and then you had a nerve to say, "I like you, Asyria." Go ahead.
Yeah. So I had to really think about prioritizing. Again, remember me and my dad had the conversation, what can you make $1 million in? And that's going to be track and field. So that's where my focus was, my grades in track and field, because my biggest thing was I want to go and have a scholarship. You know, my dad had a track team and I'm actually the lowest level D1 that went on, right? Everybody else went to University of Georgia and all these big schools. I'm the lowest level. And so I'm like, they not gonna go and I'm not gonna go. Like, this is what we got to focus on. And so it was really just prioritizing what I wanted to do and looking at the end goal. And at that time growing up, it was college. Where do I want to go? And who do I want to pay for college? What am I going to do? And how am I going to handle my disease to make sure that my parents are okay with me going off to college and doing track? My coaches are okay. And then when the Citadel, you know, said, hey, we're interested, going, okay, this school is actually interested in me, them being okay. And then now really I've been diagnosed since I was 15. I'm 28 now. Now it's like first nature. Like nothing, if I feel myself getting overwhelmed, it's okay, I need a break.
Okay.
Let's shut down everything. That means social media. I've sent out texts. Even when I was pregnant, I sent out a text to my family and I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on right now. I love y'all, but I'll be back in a day or two. Ain't nothing wrong. You ain't got to come to
I
Atlanta.
just need to listen.
But I need to regroup. And so, but it's definitely, I live a very chill lifestyle. I work from home. I have friends and family who check on me, who, you know, get me out the house if I've been a hermit too long. So now it's just very much so it's a lifestyle, and everyone in my inner circle, that friend that hopped on that ambulance with me, she's here in Atlanta with me. Her and her husband, they check in on me. You know, I have friends and family of my church check in on me back at home and here in Atlanta. And so it's just really just, it's life now. It's a lifestyle. And anybody that's in my inner circle knows. They automatically just know, okay, that looks like that's a lot. You got a lot on your plate. Let me not even ask Asyria. And then I'll be like, no, you can ask me. And then they don't even ask because they already know.
Now, does that stress you out sometimes on the opposite end of letting you be yourself, letting you be a friend, and let you make the decision of managing and giving you the power to say no? How do you manage that?
Bit. I think a little bit, especially when I was pregnant, because I have lupus. I'm a high risk pregnancy, and so I still wanted to do everything. Like, let me lift, let me walk, let me go have fun. But during my pregnancy too, I just realized that's just how they love me. And so it doesn't stress me out as much, because I think it was coming from a place of I was trying to prove myself. Okay. And when I sat back and looked, I said, well, they know who I am. I don't have to prove anything. And that was they love me for me. If I can't pick this up, or, you know, if this is too overwhelming, they understand. They've known it from the jump. It's nothing different. And so not as much, but I learned that while I was pregnant. So it took a couple of lessons, but now it's just I don't have to prove anything, and they love me for it, and we just go from there.
With all of the achievements that you've made and cited physically, mentally, philosophically, I think to some extent too, it is such a joy to hear that you were able to have a child, because again, I didn't chat with Roxanne. I didn't want to pry and ask because I know it's a high risk pregnancy because your levels and things change. I'm sure you were, they had a concern for what do you call it? The eclampsia. You know, all of that. And so I'm glad to hear. How old is your baby?
She is 9 months.
9 months? Wow. Do you often like sit, either she's crying or you go in and look or whatever, and do you kind of take that exhale, one, God, I thank you.
Yeah.
And then two, that, despite at 15 and 13 years ago getting this diagnosis, at any point with your partner, husband, was this a scare for you? Would you be able to do this?
I think younger. My doctor, I had, God bless, doctors that look like us because they kept it real. And doctors of Black and brown descent. I had a doctor that told me straight up when we came back to the United States, you can't get pregnant. Like, lupus is something that you put in a box. When it's out the box, it's going to get rampant. And so he told me straight up, he was like, you can't just show up pregnant. You can't. So it needs to be planned. And it needs to be planned. And so my pregnancy was actually very much planned. We did a lot of testing. My rheumatologist here in Atlanta, we did testing a year before to make sure of any genetic traits. And so my partner as well, he made sure that my pregnancy was A1. So like, I really, whatever I asked for was done. I was very comfortable. I was glowing.
Cravings.
I love
Let me ask you, did you have him going to JR Crickets and whatnot, or what?
No, I didn't get too carried away. I don't think so. I think I may have asked for, a quick trip hot dog at maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But
a quick trip hot dog? Okay.
Yes.
Really?
At least a quick trip hit different. It's different.
I've been the one right there. You might get this, the one up the street from Bulldogs. I've been to that one. Maybe that one's just a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. The one that's by me, that's a good one. But yeah, he made sure that, I had everything. And then my friends and my family. I have a huge community up here with my church. My parents, although they don't live here in Atlanta, my mom is probably up here every other week or at least once a month. My dad was coming up, and so I was never alone.
Look, that ain't about you no more. She still love you. That's about the baby. You know that's about the baby, right?
And I love that for me. I love that for me.
I get all of what you're saying there. It is just so amazing to hear your story. And we're going to take just a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I want to hear about what you're doing, if there's resources that you would like to share, and then also give you an opportunity. People may not hear it in your story, but to clearly, blatantly state to young women or anyone that may be recently diagnosed that you and Roxy are both living proof that you, and it's so, I don't like the normal, normal life. There's some implications when you say that, but right after the break, I want to hear some more from you about what you're doing, and how you're taking your board membership and just the glow that you have, and empowering others. And I want to hear about what you're doing in policy and why you call yourself health equity enthusiast.
We can do that.
We can do that. Folks, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with you in just a couple of seconds.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 187-MA-ENROLL.
Hey everyone, we are back with our guest. Just lost my train of thought that quick. With our guest Asyria, and in the earlier part, we heard a lot of her journey. If you're just tuning in or watching the afterwatch, I'm sure that you've enjoyed hearing her story. And so, Asyria, tell us now, you have a master's in public health. So your mom, you went to school, you did the track, you got your master's, you're on the board. Tell us about what are you doing in policy, and why do you classify yourself as a health equity enthusiast?
Yeah. So I know people think health equity is this new hot word, and it is in some respect.
Post-COVID and blah, blah,
Yeah, they want to put health equity on everything. But, public health, I think when people think about public health now, they think about COVID. And before COVID happened, they thought about the environmental health specialists.
Social determinants and all this other
Right.
stuff.
They think about the environmental specialists that go around and check the restaurants. That's usually what people think when they think about public health, because that's the only two things that I know about public health. But when you think about public health and when you think about health equity, they go hand in hand in going. It's the step past being equal, right? And so in public health plays a factor in every aspect of our lives. Where your stoplights are, where your sidewalks are, where your school is located, everything
your
plays
parks,
a part.
your
Yes.
parks, and your boyfriends,
yep.
and your
Everything. And so understanding, like you said, the social determinants of health, looking at your education, where you live, where you work, and where you play, your employment, and things of that nature. When you think about health equity, when we're talking about going steps beyond equality, you have to take all that into consideration. And so a lot of the work that I've done, whether it was in clinical work with COVID, whether it was reentry work with working with formerly incarcerated individuals, whether it was tobacco policy that I've done, or just I've done some contracts with political think tanks. Working on health equity looks like making sure that everybody has the resources and tools that they need for their ultimate health. And so I call myself a health equity enthusiast because everything that I do, everything that I say, everything that I breathe is for equity. It's not equality. I always want to make sure that everybody that is around me has the resources that they need. So when you think about resources, when you think about equality, you think about everybody gets a book. So if there was a little blind girl, if there was a little boy that had no hands, if there was a regular, normal, seeing, able-bodied child, they would all get this book. That's equality, right?
Come here, teach.
But equity is going a step further. The blind little girl get a book that has Braille. The little boy that is missing a hand or something would be able to get a device that would help them to turn the page. And then the little boy or child that is normal, able-bodied, seeing would just get the regular book. And so every kind of area that I've worked in has looked at equity. What can we do to make sure this population, and then a step further, these individuals in the population have every resource and tool that they need? And so a lot of the work that I've done has been in Black and brown communities, because I've always said everything that I do is for God and for my people. It's for God and for us. Like I don't know, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but that's the way I work. And so a lot of the work that I've done has been with Black and brown communities. And so the work that I've done, whether it's building coalitions, whether it's doing the development, like curriculum development or anything like that, yes, there's a population, but one, what does that population or that community need? I may have the degree, but you have to tell me what you need. I may go and think that your food, it's a food desert, which means that, there's not enough healthy food there. But when I go speak to the people, they're actually worried about job insecurity. They're not worried about the food because they need the money to even get the food. And so when I think about equity, it's not only making sure that they have the resources and the tools, but it's also me taking a step back. And yes, I have a framework, and yes, I have the degree, but me partnering with the community to make sure that they have those resources. And so everything that I do, every project I've worked on, everything that I've done in public health, even at my school at the Citadel, which that's how I got into public health, I was searching for equity. I wasn't searching for equality when, cadets were leaving bananas on my desk and calling me a monkey. I wasn't searching for being equal. I was searching for equity. And so my time at the Citadel is really what propelled me to do this work, to make sure that no matter what you look like, no matter your age, your creed, your religion, I'm going to fight for you, whatever you need, whatever your community needs.
I love to hear that. And I have to just say, I observe cadence. I observe people's, this is what I do, body language, intonation. Your whole whole disposition changed when you started talking about now you're
Oh yeah,
smiling.
that's right.
You did policy very staunch and serious. And you didn't crack one smile.
No, because I think when people look at the work that I've done, like, oh, you're so young, especially in public health. Most people get into one area.
And I'm sorry, let's name the number one demographic, and at least here on the East Coast, here in Boston, the number one, you tell me what it is there in Atlanta, or if you know nationally, and I'll tell you what it is here in Boston. Because being a Black woman in public health sometimes can be interesting. Thank God we got a Black woman, Dr. Ojakutu, who leads our public health up here in Boston. But go ahead.
Normally, it is changing.
It is changing. It ain't changed yet, but go ahead.
It is changing, but normally public health practitioners do not look like their communities.
You're not going to do me. You're not going to do it. That's that political side, policy side that you left it very, No, but
they're usually Caucasian female.
Yeah.
Caucasian female.
Yeah. And good. There are a lot of real, true allies. There's the perspective in that of, give back, and I'm going to help those folks. And there's that element too. And so I just had to name that in saluting you for making such strides. One, being a young woman, and still in spite of, because for a couple of seconds I almost forgot that we're talking about what your diagnosis is. Mm-hmm. And we're just talking about policy and equity. You know what I mean? And so I have to salute that in naming that you're pushing and helping be a part of that change of the general demographic of the public health space.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's important. I think, at my time at the Citadel, like I said, that propelled me into this work. And one of the things that I realized was two things that I realized was that every part of the revolution is necessary. I think every part. So when I say that, people think I'm crazy, but when I say that, I think the rioting is necessary. I think sitting at the table is necessary. I think picketing. I think all of it is necessary.
Policy, the social element of getting folks to info.
The other part that I realized was too that I have a role to play, and I needed to pick my role. And my role, I have been very blessed to be in very Black spaces and be in very white spaces. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been that bridge to bridge the gap.
Yes, ma'am.
So much so that when I was at the Citadel, I was invited to the Republican Party African American celebration, because my really good friend Cam, who was really my true friend, was the president. And people did not understand how we were friends. And we can agree to disagree on some stuff, but nothing's going to happen or change if we can't come to an agreement and have a bridge. And so I've always been that person to be that bridge. And so it's just who I am and what I do. And so every part of the revolution is necessary. But then the other part of that is I understood my part, which it wasn't going to be the rioting. It wasn't going to be the picketing. I chose that I was going to bring my seat to the table. And what makes anything in this country move is policy. And so that's why I got into it.
I like how you said, I'm not going to come to the table. I'm going to bring my seat.
Oh, yeah.
To the
yeah.
Your whole energy just shifts when you get to talking about this stuff. So you're really encouraging me about the fact of picking your lane and sort of knowing what you're doing. I used to be, quote unquote, not the rioter, but I used to us policy makers out on social media. I used to call them out. It is needed, but right now this is the space where I found that I've been more impactful. Mm-hmm. Everybody may not agree with it. Some folks still want me to cuss people out and whatnot. I'm 52 and I don't need the stress. I wanted to ask you, because now you're speaking some things and you're helping me. You referred to being a bridge, and sometimes if you look at the responsibility and the functionality of bridges, yes, they bring together, but they're often left to be dilapidated. They're often walked across, and you know where I'm going. Mm-hmm. How do you handle the impact of being a bridge? I think first and foremost,
this is who God created me to be.
You're not just going.
And I have taken that. It took me years.
Yes, ma'am.
My mentor, one of my mentors, was my FCA chaplain, Frost Coach Frost, Mr. Frost, Frosty, we called him. And he told me, he was just like, you're like, you can bring people together. You bring people together. Another mentor of mine who got me into public health, who was a 6'4" Jewish white man, told me that I needed to get into public health and do law because he just saw how I moved on campus.
Yeah.
And so when they were telling me that, I was like, I don't want the responsibility. Mind you, I'm at a military college. My coach wants me to have rank. I have no rank, but everybody still comes to me to defend them in the honor court. Anybody that looked like me came to me. We have people to do this work and they're coming to me. And so after I graduated, I really took a step back and I said, God, I'm a rebel and I don't know how you're going to use this, but I'm going to do it for you and do it for my people. And so I think one way that I'm able to navigate this is understanding my assignment here on earth. My assignment from him is to fight and be a voice for people who don't have a voice. And I've learned that even when I'm the only one speaking up, even when I'm the only one battling, I may lose some friends. I done lost a job over it, but I've been kept the whole time. I haven't won.
Hold on. I felt, I don't know what kind of you grew up in, but did you grow up in anywhere around Pentecostal or whatever? Something we used to call the quick.
Southern Baptist,
you see my shoulders, Jesus? You said I've been kept. All right, hold on. Okay. Woo. All right. We almost had a Sunday job at it real quick. Go ahead. She said I've been kept.
But I've been kept. Seriously. I those friends that I've lost because of it, better friends have come and made better divine connections. The job that I lost because of it, I had a great time during that time of not being employed. Like every time something has happened because he's told me to speak up, man said is this, but then I've been kept and gotten better and gotten bigger. And so I think that's the first aspect of it. I think sometimes people aren't operating in their assignment. That's the first time. Because when you're not operating in your assignment, you don't have that assignment's protection. And I have that protection. I think the other part is the boundaries that you have to put up. You have to know who you're dealing and working with. And so my boundaries are different depending on if I'm working in a nonprofit, if I'm working, when I was working at the CDC, if I'm doing, volunteer work with
the CDC. You're not just going to.
It was a little time. It was fun while it lasted. It was too much overview. I needed to be boots on the ground, and we're going to leave it at that. But it's the boundaries that you put up, and you have to be able to stand firm on those boundaries during this work. Because most of the time, being a woman, being African-American, and then being in this field, you truly are living through your experiences and your education. But a lot of times I'm coming from my experience as a Black woman.
Yes.
And so to be able to use that in the workplace and be able to form and shape, coalitions and policy and different programs and things of that nature, it's a blessing. But like you said, it could leave you dilapidated. And if you don't have the boundaries up to be able to say, okay, I'm cutting this off, or when I'm just small things, when it's 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock, I'm not going to work no more. Or being able to go into a room and tell your experience, but doing it in a way where it's not so personal. Being able to inform policy or initiatives, but you're not telling the whole thing of your whole life. So there's no personal, not so much personal into it. And so I think it's the boundaries. And then the third part is really, I think you kind of die out when you don't have a heart for it. I love this work.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I realized I love this work when, 2020 during the pandemic and all the marches were happening. And I remember sitting in my room going, God, I don't understand why this feels like a burden to me. Me as one person can't do this. And I was calling my mom and I was going, Mom, it's like I need to do something, but I'm not big enough to do anything yet. Like I need to do something, but I don't have a voice big enough yet. Like I don't know what to do. And it was such a burden because my heart ached, not only because it was Black men, but I think for me, I just like being a voice for people who can't be a voice. So whether you look like me or not, I'm going to have your back if it's right. If it's ethically right, I got you. I got you. You ain't gotta question it. You ain't gotta worry about it. And so I think the third part to it is I have a heart for this. So even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I would still do it.
Come.
I would still do it. That's why I'm on the board. I don't get paid to be on the board,
Mhm.
but I understand women with lupus, children with lupus that are here in this area in Georgia. They need somebody to understand what they're going through. I love this work. I enjoy this work. This work is me and I am it. And so being that bridge, I think you have to understand the three aspects of that, because if you don't, if you're even lacking one, you're going to get burnt out.
And
You're gonna,
let's review them to make sure we got them. Let's go in reverse.
yeah, you
So
got
I
to,
remember
you got to,
it's a heart. It needs to be a heart condition. It needs
you
to be
got
a heart
to,
condition.
yeah, you gotta have a heart for it, right?
Yep.
You have to be working in your assignment.
That's
And
right.
then, dang, what was the second one? What did I have the second one?
Anissa,
What was the second one? I've been talking
it
so
was
good.
it was
I
it
could've
was
wrote
no,
it
no, no,
down
the good thing
myself.
about this, guess what? We can go back and
Oh
click
yeah,
it
we'll
out.
go back and replay it. But
No, but that was so
boundaries,
that
and have boundaries. Yes. So
this
those
was
are the yeah.
this was good to me. Anissa's laughing at me as we realize we can just go back and watch it. So the
Yeah.
first thing was be in the place of your assignment, set
Yeah.
boundaries, and let it be a heart condition.
Yeah.
And what I mean by heart condition, a passion place.
Yeah.
Because when there's no money, when the ridicule, the criticism, and all that other stuff comes, it got to be those three things. So thank you. That really helped me personally. And if you don't mind, I would like to share something with you. I'm sure you may have heard of one of the squad members, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who shared her journey about alopecia. She's a very close sister friend of mine. And I made a statement to her one day, similar to what you said. And I want you to hear the spirit of this. She said that, James, you're not a voice for the voiceless, because everybody has a voice. What you are, and we started talking, and what I got from it was, you're a choir director. And you come from this place. So sometimes you're going to have to pull on the sopranos, and sometimes you're going to have to pull on the altos. And I want to share that with you, one, to help strengthen you in knowing that you got that back behind you. You don't have to be that voice, because the weight of that, sis, is heavy. And so I want to share with you, view yourself as a choir director, because they do have voices. And it's our part as choir directors to fine tune and
to pull it out
on the right key and make sure they're on pitch and know the words and when to shut up and when to let. So sis, you go ahead and direct. And with that militant, woo, this is good to me today. We just about coming up on time, Jesus. I want to make sure you have an opportunity to share your socials with us. Have you written a book? Is there a website? Like, how can folks follow? How can folks follow and find out more about you?
Yeah, so you can look me up on LinkedIn at my name, Asyria Daniels, with MPH behind it. And I am in the middle of writing a book. I don't know when it will come out. I started it this year. This year was a year that
nobody told me nothing about that.
This year is a year that I said I would try some different things. So I'm writing, in the middle of writing 3 books, one about my life, one about policy, public health, and people. And then the second one is going to be the follow-up to that with policy, religion, and public health. And so, that's just, I'm a PK. So, I got to throw something in there.
No. But that last one, Jesus, because I would love to hear your perspective on what it is that our allies in very prominent, the assemblies, some aspects of Southern Baptist and different conferences and whatnot. There's been this conversation going on about speaking up around policy. And so this, Anissa, I don't know where you got this young lady from, but Lord Jesus, I listen, because we're also, I don't know if you also heard of Black Health Connect. That's Dr. Duke Charles. I'm going to be with him in a couple of weeks. And so if you're not connected, I would be dope to get you two connected, because I've shared with him that I've been saying this a lot. We have not seen the full impact of COVID. The post-COVID, the mental health. We talked with the sister the other day about behavioral health diagnosis, and we need to, we'll take it to church. We need to send up the timber now. Because over these next couple of years, our young people and whatnot. And so we're going to need the church has been a very huge staple in the Black community. Let's just be real. It is the majority, with sensitivity that there are other beliefs and no beliefs. But religion, policy, I can't wait. The first one is cool. I learned about your life today, and I'll support that one. Those, you got me saying them. Those other two, please. And you got, now, not to add stress, but you said that this year, June 1st is Saturday. You got 6 months, sis, to at least get one.
Well, I'm not saying it's coming out this year. This is just the year to, you know, put some fillers out, do some podcasts, put myself out there, and work on it. So I've been working on it. You ain't gonna put the due date this year.
I don't want to add that stress in all seriousness, but you sound like me when they talk about me getting my colonoscopy. I'm like, it's coming. I'm gonna schedule it. So
I'm gonna get it done. It's gonna get done.
It's gonna get done. But listen, no, Asyria, I really appreciate you being with us this evening in the evening time when you have a 9-month-old there. And so thank her and your her or him, your daughter, right?
My daughter. Mm-hmm.
Thank your daughter and your partner as well for allowing us to spend this time with you this evening. Please keep in contact with us. And at some point, I would like to get you, Dr. Charles, and a couple of other people, and do sort of a national Black health check-in.
We can do that.
From the West Coast, you're down there, sort of in the Mid-Atlantic area. And so, yeah, this was definitely good. LinkedIn, you can follow this sister right here. You can take a screenshot real quick with her name, and I'll put it in the banner in a second, but it is as it sound. It is Asyria, Asyria Daniels, MPH on LinkedIn. And that is where you can go and follow there. I'm sure she posts blogs and different things about policy and things that you're working on. So go follow her and support her over at LinkedIn. And again, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll be in contact and follow up and be encouraged. And remember, you got a whole choir behind you that you lead. You put that foot down and get them to sound well, and and then you got, with the choir, you got a band as well.
Right. Come on.
You better go ahead here and get me up off of here real quick.
Well,
You ain't got. You are
listen,
not
my
going to
daddy
do it.
a deacon and my mama an elder. I'm a PK. I'm trying to tell y'all, we can take it there.
Listen, it's been the last couple of days have been interesting. I had a young man on today that had a mini stroke, and this is also Stroke Awareness. Mm-hmm. We were talking with him, and he tapped into and started talking about his faith, and whatnot. And so, yeah, you can't, that is what I'm cutting. So you are talking to a backslidden preacher. So with that being said. With that being said, you get up off my screen, sis, because when you talked about the assignment, everybody, I thought it was one thing in the four walls, in the pulpit, with the chair sitting behind me. This for me is ministry.
Yeah.
Making sure
and we need it. We need, before we go, we need ministry in every aspect of life.
Yes, ma'am.
Every aspect of life. The church is the people. It done got nothing to do with the four walls. It's community. It's people. We need your assignment in the schools as a teacher. We need your assignments in policy on Capitol Hill, on every capital in the country. We need your assignments in Walmart. We need your assignments at the gas station. He said, go and be disciples. And that's what ministry is. Ministry is not confined to the four walls, because if we look at who we're called Christians after Christ. He didn't stay in no four walls.
We supposed to be Christ-like.
He didn't stay in no four walls.
So I have a whole mother's board. I have about 8 to 10 women that average the age of a little bit over 60. And I'm telling you, you are in here helping them real quick. They listen, there's my mother. God's plan.
And that was my mama saying amen.
Where's she at? Your mother's in here?
Yes.
Hold on for a second. We got to give homage and give to Mother Zandy Daniels. Welcome to the Java Cafe. It is so, listen, you did well. You and your husband, y'all did well with this woman. I done forgot what we were actually here talking about. And I say that respectively because I want to draw out that you have not allowed, and I want to say this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have not allowed a diagnosis to limit you. And that's one of the things as we get ready to close. I did say I wanted to allow you the opportunity to speak to someone that may be newly diagnosed, that in their heart of heart, while they're doing their research, while they're doing with systems, doing research and dealing with symptoms, rather, they kind of know they ain't went to the doctor yet because they don't want the confirmation.
Yeah.
What is it that you would say to them?
Yeah.
You know,
I would say go to the doctor, get the confirmation, because that's when you can start your medicine. And I understand that we, especially when you look like me, and you have darker or lighter skin, black and brown complexions, we don't have the best trust in the health system. So I do acknowledge that. I do work in that. So I do acknowledge that.
yes, ma'am.
But I would encourage you to try to find a nurse practitioner or a physician that looks like you, that does this work. And go in and talk to them. The other part is going to be, remember that this does not last. I've been so blessed and fortunate not to look like my disease. And I understand that not everybody has that opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
But if you are a follower of Christ, remember, when we get up to glory, all the suffering we did here will not compare to the glory that we have there. And so this will not last always. And the third thing I would say is, after you go and get your diagnosis, take your journey as your journey. That's what I learned when I was getting information from the older women that spoke in my life. They already had their lives. They did what they wanted to do, but their journey would not be my journey. And so you are the author of your journey. You create life as what you want it to be. Yes, I understand that this is a lifelong condition. Yes, I understand that it affects people in different ways. Yes, I understand some days you won't be able to get out of bed. Some days you'll ask God why. But at the end of the day, I need you to remember that you are still inside, and that what God created you for is for a time such as this. So share your story, get on the medication, do whatever is going to help you feel comfortable, and enjoy the journey of the life change. Enjoy it. Because some days you're not going to want to get up and do it, but you're going to still have to enjoy it to keep on going. You're going to have to enjoy it to be able to get out of bed. You're going to have to enjoy it to speak in other people's lives. You're going to have to enjoy it to not look like it. And so I understand that it may be a life change. It will be, not even maybe, it will be a life change. But I really, truly encourage you to stick with your medicines and do what you need to do for yourself during this journey. And that looks different for everybody. But it doesn't matter if it looks different from Jim, Bim, and anybody else. Do your journey. I think a lot of times we get so hung up that we didn't do it like somebody else, but that's not your ministry. Do it how you need to do it. Get through this how you need to get through it. And continue to just press on, because at the end of the day, somebody's looking at you. I do this because when, and you're going to get me, when I run for Georgia State Senator, I have red locks and a nose ring, because when I do that, I want little girls to look at me and say, she had lupus, she did this, she had that, she's been through this, and she can do this. And yes, I did say that. Yes, we were supposed to talk about that. But I say that to say, you don't know who's looking at you, and you don't know who you're giving encouragement when you push through. The other part, when I say push through, I'm not saying ignore your pain. I'm not saying ignore the emotions that come with it. Sit there, feel it, but don't stay there.
Yes, ma'am. So hold on, because we wound up talking, and I never opened up the briefing. You running for state senate? That
I want to. That is the end goal. That is the end goal. Yeah, we definitely didn't go over the questions.
I didn't. We started talking before I never even opened the document. Anissa, I love you, and thank you for so much of the work and stuff that you put into the to the preparation. Jesus. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kimberly over on YouTube said, "You better preach over my life." I just want to share some of the comments with you to let you know, you've encouraged people. Anissa said she going back to watch on Sunday. My mother and them, you done already seen their comments. They have been enjoying this. And you have really just been a blessing. Aquanda, who I believe Walton is probably your friend. Hey, she's been, encouraging you as well. So this was good. This was good. Yeah. For such a time as this.
Yeah.
walk in your assignment, set boundaries, and don't tell me the third one. Oh, Jesus. Oh, walk in your assignment, set boundaries, and crap. Come from the heart. Love and heart, the heart. You know what? I'll tell you, that's affirmation for me, because in 2020, there was this song that a local group used to sing, self-love is the best love. And what I have learned, Asyria, is that love must be the foundational thing.
Mm-hmm.
I allowed myself to be comfortable in the fact that sometimes I got to love you from a distance.
Yep.
And sometimes I got to practice tough love.
Yep.
You know, and so thank you for that being the third piece. I know I'm in my assignment. I'm doing better at setting boundaries. And the love, trust me, I'm confirmed in a love place, because they ain't nothing. Listen, you know, when we want to give up and whatnot, it ain't the money, it ain't the money, it ain't all the other stuff. If you can have impact and love and impact, you're good. So, woman of God, get up off my screen here and go tend to that 9-month-old and your partner. Thank you so much for being with us. Mother Daniels, it's so awesome to have you in the room with us this evening. And please, you know, keep in touch. And I look forward to trying to connect you with Dr. Charles. And then we'll do this on a national check-in. Juneteenth is in a couple of weeks. We might not be able to pull it off by then, but I do want to have a national conversation about the status of Black health.
We can do that.
Yeah, it would be, we have you, him, a behavioral health specialist, and somebody that maybe works in big pharma. Okay. I've been in, we partnered with Johnson & Johnson and Bayer. So
we can talk offline.
Sister Daniels, thank you so much.
This was great.
I definitely would love to. Thank you so much for being with us, and I look forward to being in touch with you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Listen, everyone, we've had from this morning and also and this evening, just a day of inspiration around health. We started out with Pops this morning, and then closed out with Asyria. And Nisa, thank you. I don't know where we got her from, but Jesus Lord, all the way from Atlanta. I know that much. And to Mother Daniels, again, thank you for being with us this evening. My mother, who's in the room as well, and everybody that's here. For those that will go and watch the after watch, UCB, y'all racking up this week. It's 8:06. We started at 7. Y'all get 90 minutes for listening. Everybody that was Nia Grace is over on YouTube. I also see Dawn was on there as well, and a couple other people. Good to see y'all. Georgie was up on there as well this evening. So, and those that were watching on Twitter, listen, we will see you guys Monday. We will not be live next week. As I've mentioned, I have a medical procedure, and at least for Monday and Tuesday, I know for sure that we will probably do a recap of a couple of videos. And Wednesday and Thursday, I'm not sure. We'll keep you updated via social media. So we will not see you Monday morning at 9. I solicit your prayers. It's not a major procedure. It's surgery. Anytime you're going under, blah, blah. So I solicit your prayers for that, and we'll check in. Anything major, whatever, y'all can check in with Mama G. But listen, we'll see y'all live probably Wednesday or Thursday of next week. All right. Thank you all for being with us. And please, again, keep June 21st and June 22nd open. And don't forget this weekend, June 1st. I'm actually at the New England Aquarium from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Myself and DJ Rose B, Brian, my cousin, we're actually providing the entertainment for the New England Aquarium for their event this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you're around, stop by Boston Waterfront and be a part of that. Keep June 21st and 22nd open. Keep June 18th open. We got a nice little something. That's an after dark. After dark Java Cafe type of thing. So that's going to be in person. And we'll let you all know more information about that soon. All right, I'm off of here. We'll see you sometime next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend, everybody. And thank you for being with us this evening. Peace.